What's up guys, it's Gavin
and John
from Team Ironcore. We're going to do a discussion video today about why you guys don't side certain cards. There's some really good cards that used to be pretty prevalent in the side decks and I don't see them played anymore. I just want to discuss why they're not. To start it off, I really like the card Imperial Iron Wall.
It's broken.
It's really good. Now you can't side it in everything, of course, because sometimes if you're running Psychics, Prophecies need to get stuff banished. But in the same aspect, it's really good against a lot of decks. For example, it's really good against anything that runs a lot of traps, because everyone's running traps is running Dimensional Prisons and Bottomlesses.
Yeah. And
this stops those. It stops Macro Rabbits because Cosmos doesn't activate. So it's like to the point where you almost should main deck this over Decree. Not over Decree, but like in addition to your side decks of Decree in like Mermails and stuff, because you can really stop their Bottomlesses and their Dimensional Prisons, and they can like throw people off because they really don't know it's coming. I really think it's a good card.
Yeah.
And you can shut down Prophecies and stuff like that. Things that need to banish to activate.
Yeah. Like you said, Macro Rabbits. Basically, if someone's going to side in, you know they're going to side in Dim Fissure or Macro Rabbits. You're going to side that, I mean not Macro Rabbits, but Macro. You're going to side that in just so you know that they're screwed. You just shut down their plays.
They just put so many resources into a specific thing and then you shut down that resource. It's gone. Moving on. That Wacky Alchemy. It's really good. It's an ultra rare because they wanted people to play it.
Good against Fire Fists?
It's really good against Fire Fists because whenever they're trying to activate an effect of a bear, you get to pop their monster. You may lose one, but so do they. And also, this can activate whenever your opponent pretty much activates a spell. If your opponent goes Reborn, and that Reborn resolves after the monster special, and then the Reborn sent to the graveyard, that's a face-up spell getting sent to the graveyard, and that Wacky Alchemy can activate and destroy the monster they just special summoned. Or if they activate MST, you go, okay, that Wacky Alchemy, destroy a monster. Like, this is a really, really good card, and I don't see it as a main deck card, but anything you know your opponent runs a lot of spells in that would like activate and resolve, I think it'd be really good against. Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell.
It's a great card, and not just against Prophecies. Yes, it's good against Prophecies. You can really side that in against just about anything. Okay, Dragoonies are about to be a really big deal. Well, why not side that in then? Dragon's Ravine. What are you going to do about it? You can't use it the rest of the duel.
And your opponent, when they're running Dragoonies with Tempest out and everything, which is really broken, and in the OCG meta, they're a good third of the meta right now in the OCG. If you hit the Ravine, that means they're gonna next turn they're gonna have to side out 6 cards out of their deck. And like sometimes it's good to side out cards, but if you're having to change your complete deck up, if you don't draw exactly what you need with that deck, you're boned. Like the reason this deck OTKs is when you get a hand with like a Zephyros and a Ravine. Like that's when you OTK in the Dragoonides. And if they use Zephyros last duel, then they have to side that out as 8 cards. That means they have to go half their side deck and hope that they have enough stuff that they actually want to side into.
Yeah, I mean, not only Dragoonides, it does hit Prophecies. You can shut them down pretty quickly.
You can hit Tinky. Dark Horse Fire Fist.
If you just want to screw with somebody, I like to side that in, even if I'm not against something that uses heavy spells, because Monster Reborn, you know.
Which isn't like the world's best, like, it's not completely shutting their deck down, but if they have it to play against, it'll negate the spell, right?
Yeah.
So the spell's negated anyways. So it's good. Like, if you didn't want to go Stardust, you could just negate their Dark Hole and then not have to go Stardust next game. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's a good card. You know. And a lot of people, what they've been side decking in is Royal Decrees. And Royal Decree is a fantastic card. It takes a dump on Chainburn and takes a dump on anything that's running a lot of spells, or excuse me, a lot of traps. And there are a lot of decks in the meta right now running a lot of traps. You got wind-ups that have to rely on their traps. They anything that has rabbit in it pretty much has to rely on its traps. What else? Fire Fist relies on traps a lot.
Hundreds uses them a lot.
Hundreds uses traps a bit, but they can go ham without them though.
They can.
You could side it out. There's one of the big ones. Six Samurai relies on a lot of spells traps. Even though you're a lot on the monsters, you have to have those traps to back you up. Otherwise, you just get over Shi and then you just continue. So why don't people side Trap Stun in? Because Trap Stun's a really, really good card. It's the same as Royal Decree, except for when your opponent goes MST, you can chain it.
And it's one turn.
And it's a full turn. You can just chain it. I main deck a Trap Stun in Dragoonides right now. I haven't updated my profile in a while, but I main deck one right now because I didn't really want to main deck Decrees because I run like 10 traps in Dragoonides. But when you get those plays off, you need their opponent not to activate any traps. And one Lance isn't going to cut it if they go warning. So if you just go Trap Stun, flip the Trap Stun and then go ham, your opponent can't do anything. It's like a one-turn Barkion that's even better because they can't even activate anything.
Yeah.
Like, so good. This
You
is
will
like,
get your plays off.
this is one of my favorite cards. I don't know why you guys don't run it more because Trap Stun's really good. Run this card, guys. It's a
Run
good
like
card.
5 of them.
If you could, you should run 5. And the last and my favorite card that I don't know why you people don't run. Some people are smart enough to put in their side deck, don't get me wrong. But I don't know why every single person in Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't have 2 of these in their side deck. Prohibition.
Best card ever. Well,
Best
not
card.
really, but it's really good.
It's to the point, you know you can side this in versus any deck. There's nothing that you really can't side this in for unless it's like a Monster Mash deck that really doesn't rely on anything in particular. But you can side this against just about anything but a Monster Mash deck.
I mean, even then, if you know, they have a lot of boss monsters, but if you take out their BLS, which a lot of Monster Mash do, you just call BLS. They really can't play.
You can run in Prophecies. You can hit their win condition by hitting High Priestess. Sure, they can summon a Breaker and get over it, or sure, they can go Spellbook of Fate and get over it, but you can shut those plays down, and until then, your opponent has to play around that Prohibition. Playing around Prohibition sucks.
Prohibition Bear, and then Prohibition a Gorilla or MST, they can't play it. They can't get over that.
If a lot of times it's a really good bait too, because I know when people run Fire Fist versus my Prophecies, they're siding out Gorillas often because they know I don't run any back row other than Threatening Roar, which I just chain, and Tower, which they're not really worried about. They can just chain one of their MSTs to it because they run 3 probably. So they side out the Gorillas because they don't need it, and they can put in other hate for my deck like T-Kings and just shenanigans like that. So they side out Gorillas. If you Prohibition the Bear, they have to have an MST, and I'm sure you can say, but Gavin, they can MST that. Well, in Prophecies, that means they had to MST the Prohibition instead of your Tower. You're getting that +2 for the rest of the game.
It's really good. And like I said, you know, if you really wanted to just mess with their heads, go Bear, and then go MST, and then
Bottomless Gorilla.
they can't get over it. It's just good game.
Prohibition, especially if you drew 2, could shut down just about any deck. Like, if you, and Mermails, there's so much you could Prohibition. Like, you could Prohibition almost every card in the deck and it'd be good. Like, especially if you know what your opponent has going on. If you can shut their plays down for a turn, for any reason, and then you happen to know what there's in their hand, you're gonna do really well. Like, for example, if you're facing Hunters. Hunters, they drop Thunder Seahorse, and then they're gonna normal a T-King. Well, whatever they just added with Thunder Seahorse, you can Prohibition, that's a -2 in their hand. It's almost as bad as Mind Crush, which is another thing I think needs to see more play. A lot of people are siding it, but more people need to side it.
Yeah.
It really poops on Prophecies. It really poops on Mermails.
If you happen to run into Hunters,
It would,
it's terrible.
anything with a Thunder deck or runs, like, it's good against windups. Anything that really searches their deck a lot is really good against. So, like, Prohibition does, it's a semi-Mind Crush. Because they can't play it at all. Like, it's not like it just negs their hand, they can't play any of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. And I think it's really good against Fire Fist matchup. Fire Fists are winning a lot. As a matter of fact, I think that at this point, they're bigger on the meta than Mermails. Even though Mermails are winning more, that's just because they're more consistent. I think Fire Fist, there's a lot more of them playing Fire Fist because there's so much of the Fire Fist cards out.
And they're really cheaper too.
They're a lot
honestly.
cheaper. You can pull a bear after buying like 3 special editions. Like, it's pretty, even though it's expensive, it's still really easy to pull. Megalo is $150 or something crazy. It's like $130 to $150.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So it's a lot cheaper to pick up.
And it's still top tier for a deck.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting about, it's like consistently getting like second and third at like all the YCSs and regionals, if not way. Like,
yeah.
So
I mean,
siding in stuff against that's really good. And another thing people don't seem to side in is like other staples. Like, if you're not maining some of these traps in your deck for some reason, you could just side in some bottomlesses or some compulses. Compulses is a great card. It's a great card. It stops
so
like
good.
everything. There's almost nothing it can't stop except for like Cyber Dragon.
But mess with Stardust. Also, funny thing to do with Compulse. Prophecies. Let them get their High Priestess off. Run them down to 2 cards in hand. Compulse. They can't get that Priestess back off.
Yeah.
You know.
Just bait it out, make them think that it's a dimensional, like a, a dim prison.
Yeah.
And then when they think it's a dim prison, we're gonna try to pop it because we don't want it to happen. And then they're gonna just chain Compulse. I'm like, oh, well now I have 2 spellbooks in hand.
Stuck until next turn.
So yeah.
There went my field.
Compulse is a great card. I don't see. I mean, I see Compulse getting some play, but it's really not getting as much play as I expected because I think it's an amazing card. It's probably one of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I main deck it in all of my decks.
I main deck it in most of my decks that run traps at all. If I'm running a trap, I'm running a Compulse because Compulse is awesome. Especially when your opponent has a Lance and they think they have an out to all your cards. Because you can go, they'll summon their bear, they're going to flip bottomless, and they're like, haha, I got this Lance. So they Lance it, and they're like, chain Compulse. Resolves backwards, and they're going to get Compulse back to the hand. It won't get bottomless, but it's back in their hand, and the deck can't work without a face-up monster. And they just wasted their normal summon.
Yeah.
Sure, you had to do 2 traps for it, but if not, they would have had the bear and they would have had their outs, so...
And plus it gives you a trap next turn. You have a good chance to OTK. That's what you want to make. That's when you want to make your push.
Yeah. I mean, I just think a lot of these cards are really, really good. I think they need to see more play because they're good cards.
Yeah.
They make Konami prints cards because they want people to play it, and then they reprint them because they're good. Trap Sun's the Super now. It's gonna be in Super, guys. It's already gold. It's not like it's not pretty. Just because it's not pretty, it doesn't mean you shouldn't put it in your side deck. And it is pretty.
One card that really needs to be side deck is Vanilla.
Everybody should have at least 3 vanillas in their side deck.
Vanilla is broken. It is a level 1 with 2050 defense.
2050. That's a booty and 50.
Yeah.
You can keep your change.
They attack you 2000, they take 50 life.
Keep your change.
What's up guys, Kevin from Team Iron 4. Thanks for watching, give us a like and a comment. If you like what you saw, go to our channel, like our videos, and subscribe.